Hello all. I thought I'd have a quick chat. I'm just having a you know what. So anyway, I had a bit of a thought and I was sitting here and this old movie came to mind. And it was Anne of Green Gables. I don't know how many of you have watched Anne of Green Gables, and the energy today is really interesting, and I'm sitting here on my veranda out bush and I'm like, okay, let's have a quick chit chat. Now, we had the new moon in Libra, which is the 16th, moving towards the full moon in Taurus, and it kind of dawned on me, and Anne of Green Gables came to mind. And I was sitting there thinking about it. It was the scene where I believe Gilbert had been unwell, and she had rushed back to go and see him. She was and I was thinking about that because a lot of our spiritual path is very much in the initial stages. There's the victim consciousness, there's the energy of almost scared to really follow our dreams and become the best versions of ourselves, but also sometimes feeling you've got to put those things on hold. So then you kind of realize you shift your energy onto your hopes and dreams because they're about the one thing that really don't let you down, and you're like, heck, I've got to do something. But it's always in the back of your mind, that one special person, and that person who you feel takes you to that direct destiny. It automatically will initially come through with yourself when you're very settled inside yourself. And especially with Anne of Green Gables, I go back to that movie and I think about it. Um, she was very, very headstrong. And I think their relationship, in a sense, was really perfect and balanced and harmony because both Anne and Gilbert really had that innate need for knowledge and, experiencing the world, and definitely had that love for each other, but enough that they could actually grow and be themselves. And, looking at that today, I just thought about it, and I was looking at the astrology and I thought, really unique, because we always say, as one door opens, a new one must close. And it's kind of doing a polar opposite. It's almost like, with Aries and Chiron retrograde, Mars retrograde, we're almost looking at it and we're feeling this kind of purgatory experience. It's like, let's not fight with ourselves anymore. And there could be a subject matter that you're having an epiphany with, and it's like that smell of that new, that feeling of that fresh energy coming in. And seventh house placement is Libra, which is marriages, contracts, partnerships, and you're sort of looking at it and thinking, gee, heck, I've had a pretty rough time in those domains. So it's not necessarily that the new energy is coming in right away. I do feel it'll be coming through in the following month. But many of you will be having that inkling and moving towards that frequency. Hi, Dale. That you have this innate sense that you deserve more, that you want more. And so with the new moon in Libra, it's like, okay, what is that? What is that new that you're really wanting to usher into your life? And what would that look like? What would it look like, in a sense? And what is that subject? Is it a job? Um is it a new friendship group? Is it a way to relate to people? Because Aries and Chiron is the shadow energy of Libra. So it's really facing our shadows and looking at those things and going, okay, are we holding ourselves back here? Do we need to look at this little demon? And do we need to look at the maybe reality that we're wanting this new energy? Hi, Dale. And then moving into the full moon in Taurus, both of them are Venus signs, and they're really talking about a similar subject. The luxuries in life, the beauty in life. It could be chocolate, it could be that beautiful partner that you love, and you might feel really daunted at, how is this even potentially possible? And it's really just setting those intentions. And I wouldn't say having faith, it's we all have to have a dream. And if that one person to you is that highest pinnacle, don't sugarcoat things. Don't settle for second best and sloppy seconds. Really, use that time that you have to accept the factor of what you love, who you are, what you need, and just try and create the most wonderful life you have in the present state of where you are. Because you would much rather, be at peace with that situation and work towards that goal than be hiding behind an empty victory in a location that will never take you to that victory. So, I mean, I listened to the Leo King today, and sometimes people can misunderstand things, and I can't speak for him. But, for me personally, sometimes the larger message is, where are you shortchanging yourself? Are you feeling that, to reach that goal, what you're wanting to do, what you're wanting to achieve, it's just too hard, especially with Mars retrograde. But, we never receive that victory and that triumphant feeling unless we're really striving for that goal and really putting our money where our mouth is with those goals. making that difference where you're physically going after it. Even if people think you're crazy, it really doesn't matter. It's your life to receive and do. And it's just really having faith in yourself that you can actually have everything your heart desires. Sometimes, and I do think at the moment, some of you could be in a relationship that you're really not happy in, and some of you might be making excuses that it's like, heck, well, this other person hasn't showed up. But the interesting thing is the one door closes, one door opens. It's not sometimes it's really looking at it and going, well, no, it's not really about the fact that that other person hasn't showed up. But if you aren't happy in that direct situation, you still are shortchanging yourself. So it's just coming to peace with that and realizing that, saying goodbye to the past and blessing it be, and being in gratefulness that you had it and what it was at that time, but is it that right now? Some of us at times, we don't want to leave connections because we're scared of finances. Sometimes it can be due to the nostalgia and the fear of being alone, which, go back to Anne and Gilbert. There's beauty in actually really pouring your energy into your hopes, dreams, and goals, and having the beautiful friendships around you and the things that you desire. Yes, at times I have been in situations like that where, I was looking at going, why are you thinking this? Why are you doing this? But then there's other times I actually look at it where I put a lot of people well and truly before me. And I was like, wow, it's really interesting that I did that, because I'm really not that type of person any longer. And I remember my sister-in-law saying to me years ago, she's like, Yildiz, I'm not like you. I'm not that strong. But, I'm no one special. I'm just like all the rest of you. We all do reach that pivotal point that you get this innate, real deep sadness inside you because you're trying to be something for another person, and that can be for your children. Sometimes it can be for a job or, just paradigms, so to speak, and you can't fit that forever. It's just not going to last. And it really causes, dis-ease causes disease. It's not doing those things because they've got a shelf life, and you do end up getting to that point where it really will have its shelf life. It's not to the betterment. You're worth so much more than that. And it's just learning to have that truth inside yourself that you can say, look, I really know what does make me happy. And even if the rest of the people around me think I'm batshit crazy, excuse my French, what matters to me? What is that highest goal that is really important? Even, alignment is all about being in your absolute truth. The good, the bad, and the ugly, showing up for your life and being that one person that will stick up for yourself. And especially with Mars retrograde, some of us can look at what it means to be divine, what it means to go through this ascension process. Some of us do want to tap out at times and we get quite tired. But, like I said, anything worth having is always worth fighting for. So it's having that courage to actually do that. And then when you do receive that, you know that you've worked for it. It's similar to what we teach our children. Not necessarily nothing comes for free, it does. But really the things that you strive hard for are the things you're almost the proudest of because you've worked hard for it. So, those are the things we teach our children. And definitely you don't want to be in connections in a situation that's unhappy based for children or based family related situations, because we've really got to stand for what we want to teach our children moving forward. It's, you wouldn't want to be in an unhappy situation for the basis that we want to have a paradigm when they energetically can see the truth. We really want to teach our children that we can still have that integrity towards that past. We still have that tribe mentality with that connection, but we're still living in that authentic energy of wanting to have our hopes and dreams and being authentic and real towards those connections wherever it stands in that cycle. So I really do think with the new moon in Libra, it's about marriages, contracts, partnerships. It's like, where are we in the matrix? Are we content with what we're doing? Is there something we need to tweak and change around? Do we need to take those steps to do something with it? Do we need to have those conversations? And then moving to the full moon in Taurus, it's the luxuries, it's the finances, it's the beauty, and it's how do we get to that beautiful path? And because it's in Uranus, it's the spiritual path. It's not what, on the 3D looks beautiful and glorious, and it can be mansions and diamonds and things to that degree. It's what takes you to that happy place. There's different paradigms of Venus. It can be riches and cold, or it can be spirituality and pace. And it's really what do you value more? So it's looking at those things. It can also be your soul connections, with individuals in your life and who those important people are. And I just really feel looking at Anne and Green Gables and Gilbert, they had that very long path and they did directly connect when they were older. And it was almost like their cup was so full, they had so much more to give to each other because they had went and lived their lives and they'd come back together, that they had loved each other enough to be free, and then to come back with that grace of who they were, with the journeys and the stories that they had, with that still innate love that they had inside them. It's very similar to a twin flame path. And I mean, the Leo King touched base on the twin flame path. Big shout out. When you look at it, it's, yes, we should believe in love. People can fail us, people can make mistakes, and sometimes we do try to pick that fruit before it's ripe. Maybe we don't see the writing on the wall and maybe represented ourselves ill or didn't want more from that situation because we thought there would be a consequence for an action. But it's just really standing in your truth wherever that partnership stands. Be it you're a soulmate, be it you're in a happy connection or an unhappy connection, and what we're going to do to move forward. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of the reflection. There is a little bit of nostalgia coming through. Obviously, with the energy of the Libra new moon, it is the shadow. So it's us facing our shadows of where maybe things we were fighting for, where there were battles and adversity that we went through in our spiritual paths. Where we are scared that potentially those things may happen again, and where we're just going to look at things and go, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that, but I'm also going to set my intentions to actually move forward with the new that's coming through. And yes, it might feel very uncertain, and it may feel to the point we don't completely know what that's going to look like. But, part of a journey is really getting on that roller coaster, and that's the beauty of life. It's like, every season is very different. I've always used my past sort of as a positive compass to, when I got stuck in my ego, to really look at it and go, come on, Yildiz, don't tell yourself that false story. When has there been a moment where something amazing outside of just that set paradigm of we need a relationship to be okay, did something really wonderful for me personally happen? And sometimes it was news of a friend having a baby. Sometimes, those things would trigger you. Sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes it was getting a brand new job and you really excelling in that situation, or helping a person and really feeling that heart-centered space. So it's just being in that awareness that every day wonderful, miraculous things happen. And we're so much more. We are in connections all the time. And I think especially for us feminines, we really underestimate the sisterhood. And there's been so many times where there has been lower frequency females, unfortunately, that we've really formed a very negative opinion towards each other. And that has, and the more work you do on yourself, you actually realize if the person had a self-esteem base, they would realize we're sisters, we're not in competition, and we would never hurt each other, because we're earth mothers in a sense that we're co-creators, we're nurturing, we're loving, we're compassionate. When we're having hard times, we turn to those good friends and we speak, and we have very kindred connections that way, which are absolutely beautiful. But, with many years and things gone by and the way society's gone, there has been times with women in society that unfortunately, because of childhood wounds and the way they've been raised and, sometimes meeting certain people and having them in their lives, we can become very masculine in nature and almost feel that we have to fight for those positions with males, or fight between our female friends and our female tribes, so to speak. And it's really, really not a competition. It's, you will find that soul energy that you are with, and you will be happy in your own skin that you are always enough. And, really having those friends and looking at the people that maybe did hurt you, that potentially were females or males, and understanding that hurt people. It's not that it's okay, but it's really to the point where, you look at it and go, if only they knew how special and wonderful they were in their own life, and that, to not fight for things that aren't meant for you, because it's almost like you're accepting something that is far less than what you're actually spiritually worth. And we've all done that before, so we can have that compassion for them. But unless they do the work, they're really going to have those lives. And that's exactly what the Leo King was talking about. It's, do you want to go back to sleep? Do you want to live a pretend life? Well, that's what you're doing when you're at a particular frequency. When you're awake, and you have to acknowledge those demons inside yourself, and you have to say, hey, the writing's on the wall. This person's not reciprocal at the moment in a fashion. And, even twin flames go through that, where we have to accept where the journey is, where it is. And it's very painful at a time because we take it so deeply personal. But if it was something as simple as the person saying to you, gee, I'm really in the thick of it right now, and I'm sorry I can't actually be a straight shooter with you, but I've had very karmic energies in my life, and I've never been able to speak my truth because there's always been a consequence for an action. So just reading those situations and seeing where you've been in similar circumstances, and potentially where you wanted to hear the right thing, and when you didn't hear the right thing, it just wasn't okay, and it places expectations on people. So sometimes, yes, the truth does hurt, but it's not permanent because we all grow and evolve. So yeah, just some really profound psychic downloads that I had, and I was sitting here, and this was the way I used to do now and then the updates. And I spent most of my day, over here in Australia, we have a very unique situation, which, my partner, my twin, he was saying to me, I think it's unique because we're really not training our children to go into the workplace and things to that degree, because we literally have every 2 months of school holidays. And it's like, I have an older daughter. He's got 5 children. His eldest is in her 20s. So, with that, it's chop change at work, trying to get balance. So a lot of what I'm doing right now, I'm lucky enough that my daughter's turning 17 next year. So happy birthday for her in January, and anyone else in January. You Aquarians will be having a huge shift next year in 2021. But definitely I've been sitting here, and I think a lot of the subject matter that the Leo King was talking about, and when you do follow astrology, you actually get the gist that, when we do have planets going retrograde, it's sort of like we get into this innate way of being. It's like, nothing's going to move, so we can't do anything. And it's the polar opposite. I've been finding that with the Aries energy, I am literally pouring it into the highest needs of where it's required. You feel blimey fatigued at the end of it, but I promise you, if you can do that, you will get the benefit out of it. So I know that over the years with my twin flame path, I had a separation, I had a reconciliation with my twin. I was living separately to him. He, at the time, had 5 children living with him. He had an elder daughter who had a child, and I also had mine. So there was easy 7 kids. And I was managing YouTube and this, and it was a lot. And it was during some of the heaviest astrology. And it was when I first got into the energy of astrology. And I was thinking, heck, what have I bitten off? And I think that's the one thing that it's really proved to me over the years, is that you would be absolutely amazed at what you can actually achieve. If you really have to, you kind of look at it and you've been there before, and you're going, you know what, this is really going to be horrible. But unfortunately, I've done it before, and I could do it again. And I can literally handle so much. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm actually a really large manifester. I have to be very cautious about what I think. And this is what you guys will find in your spiritual path at the moment. A lot of the ascension symptoms come from the fact that you receive other people's energy. So I'll do coaching about that at a separate level. But I've literally spent most of this week, my daughter's going back to school Tuesday. And so, the lives will continue and extra things will be coming up. But I'm really trying to prepare for a whole year's of astrology. So on top of what I do every month, I'm also trying to get all the transits done, brand new content coming. So week by week, you're going to have astrology updates. And already I can see trends of what's coming through for 2021. So a lot of the things you're doing right now is really setting you guys up to be well and truly prepared for 2021. So you're going to find, many of you, the ascension symptoms, the things you've gone through, more of the collective will go through a spiritual transformation yet again next year. But you may be very observant of it in a very different paradigm. So many of you are going through what I went through prior to reunion. Some of you may have the thing and you're sitting there and you're going, and I had that from a client this morning. If I hear anything about union again, I'll flip. And I was like, I understand because I've been there. And it's there to help you detach. And detachment isn't you're letting go, you're leaving the soldier behind. It's just relax, breathe. You got your goods in the bag. I'm honestly telling you, it's ridiculous how logical it was that I had 20-something years in connection with my twin, which, even if I wanted to have the ego that it wasn't a twin flame path, you didn't need the tag. There were too many patterns there that logically one day I just sat there and I said, Yildiz, you're being a bloody idiot. Anytime I have completely relaxed and looked back in your journey and I've just gone, I'm too tired, I can't think about this anymore. It's all good. People would tell me what he was doing and how he was going, and I said, no, he's fine. He'll be fine. He's stubborn. He's fine. People would try and tell me things to trigger me. Dream state would come through to come and trigger me. I would have ascension symptoms. I went very vegan. I was letting go and I was feeling, but the trigger points you must let go. So it's a lot of work, and that's why I do the coaching. And I can key point where they are for you. So if you're really stuck, that disconnection energy that you're requiring in it is the work. If you can physically do that, many of you will start getting communication within 24 hours. It's pivotal for you to get there. The more downloads you have, you'll know where the energy is coming from, but you'll also reach a spiritual point where you'll look like you're in euphoria. And people will think you're balmy because you'll be so detached. It's like, look, I'm not really worried. Because you look back at the patterns of as soon as you got into alignment and you were moving forward with your life, and it doesn't mean another person. It actually just spiritually means you made peace with it. And as soon as you feel that peace, the test will come in a sense that a male or a female will come towards you. And that's universe showing you you're in alignment. Now, yes, you can have anything you want. You can have a soulmate, you can have a karmic, you can have a twin flame, but they will both come at the same time. Initially, a soulmate may come, and it's for you to trust yourself enough to say, I have all those tools in the bag. I'm not going to be scared. I know that I'm going to have to do work as I go into this connection, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Because you can still have the same junk with a soulmate as you can with your twin. Because once you've reached an ascension state, those triggers and those wounds we have inside us, guys, for life. And so there's no safe bet. That's the hard thing to acknowledge, is when you've been hurt. It's like, it'd be safer for me to go with somebody else. Yes and no, because you don't want to take that junk to another human being. And when I say junk, I don't mean that disrespectfully, the pain. And so sometimes that closure first must come from you. But ultimately, if you haven't reached complete innate peace in relation to that, and you're scared that someone's going to hurt you, i.e. twin, you will also feel a soulmate will hurt you. So it's for you to decide. There's no right, wrong answer. The spiritual work's the spiritual work. And, even if you put the tag aside, when we've been hurt, if we go into another connection, it doesn't fix anything. It puts pressure on us. So leaving a little bit of time to do that deep reflection, having faith in yourself, building yourself back up, holding your chastity to a degree, in a sense of really protecting your aura and nurturing and loving yourself, you're then bringing in a high vibration back into your life where you're protected. Does that make sense? Don't be mad at yourself if you got healing to do. I mean, even when I went back into my twin flame journey, reunion, right? I still had triggers. For most that go into union, the triggers could happen every 10 seconds. But because you've done the work on them, you tell yourself, that was the past. I'm not that person anymore. They're not reacting that way, so why are you getting triggered? It's a memory. Let it go. But that's where the coaching comes in, so I'm always here. If you guys, go into union and you're dealing with that and you need the coaching, I've seen it, I've been there. So never feel ashamed or anything to that degree. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. With Neptune retrograde, there can be some lower frequency energy coming through at the moment where we're using vices to cope. It's the way it goes with this transit. you're healthier to move towards avoiding that factor. But, you know, purgatory experiences come up. We all individually handle it the way we feel fit, but it's just going to keep coming up till it's dealt with. It really does. It's pain in the neck, to say the least. So anyway, just food for thought. I thought I'd share that kind of thought process with you, and feel free to share it with anyone you think it might help. But yeah, I really do think subjects to do with, you know, you're having this innate feeling of the new, and you're putting one toe in that pond, ready to walk through it, that emotional pond. But then during, now my twin's home, the full moon in Taurus, you guys might be going, but am I going to be okay? Yes, you will. Dare to dream. Love and light.